cord to this computer. All right, you're on, Floor.
What's happening? Are you introducing me again?
Oh, you're on. Go for it.
Okay, welcome everyone. This is the Talents Unlimited Toastmasters meeting for tonight, and we are going to do a podcast. Our speaker is none other than Miss Carolyn Moore, one of our area directors. And I would like to introduce Carolyn by saying Carolyn is a Texas native who has made California her home now. She still travels back and forth to Texas every once in a while. But she has an MBA with a background in marketing. She loves talking football. She will tell you a Toastmasters tonight with a football twist. Miss Carolyn Moore, will you take the electric?
Hello, Toastmasters. So tonight we're going to see how Toastmasters can relate to football. I thought about this for a long time. It was a little difficult for me, but I finally got my thoughts together. First of all, football has quarters: first, second, third, and fourth quarter. So what happens in the first quarter? Well, in the first quarter, we start off with our Toastmaster, who in this instance is going to be our quarterback. And what does a quarterback do? Well, he going to open the meeting up with a pledge and make sure everybody has their roles. And he's going to tell us what the Toastmasters mission is. Because normally the quarterback in a football game, he is the captain, and he goes and does the coin toss and decides who's going to get the ball first, either his team or the opposing team. So the quarterback runs the team, and I would say the Toastmaster is the person that's going to run the meeting, going to make sure that the meeting runs smoothly. So that's the first quarter of our meeting. We decide who's gonna have the roles. Now the second quarter, we have speeches. So these are our running backs and our wide receivers. They have the ball in their court or on their side of the field in football. And they provide us with information with whatever they're talking about. I can give an example of a speech. Today is the 60th anniversary of Mary Kay. So if I was giving a speech today, I would give a speech in the face. But I'm the wide receiver. I am running with my speech. I am giving you a persuasive speech, an informative speech. I may just tell you a story. But that's what the wide receiver does. Runs down the field and make a touchdown. And if I give you an excellent speech, I made a touchdown. If I engaged you, had eye contact, hand gestures, vocal variety, that would be the second quarter. Now, what happens in the third quarter? We're still trying to be excellent and make touchdowns and scores. Well, in the third quarter of Toastmasters, we have what you call table topics, where you would have, I call them the fullback and the tight end. The tight ends are not stars like the speakers, but they play an important role. They answer questions that are provided to them. The quarterback has done his job, so we passing it over to somebody. A job just like the first string quarterback, but he doesn't have to. He should perform as well. He should perform as well. So he provides questions to the rest of the team that did not speak. And the team answers questions on their feet. So the tight end and the fullback have to have good hands so they can catch the ball and make that touchdown. That is what happens in the third quarter. We're still scoring. Now, what happens in the fourth quarter? Evaluators. The general evaluators calls on reports. And what this is what I call the defense of the team. What does the defense of the team do? They count our ahs and ums. They make sure that we provide eye contact, vocal variety, hand gestures. They make sure that the other team does not get the ball. So in letting us know our grammar, we can give an excellent speech and still score that touchdown. So these are the quarters for, this is your football twist on Toastmasters. I hope that you could understand. If you watch a little football, everybody knows who the quarterback is. Not sure about the wide receivers, but they catch the ball down the field, and the running back normally just runs the ball. You always know that the defense is trying to keep the other side from scoring. So in the defense, we are making sure that the speakers are excellent, who is the wide receivers and the running back. So this is your twist. This is your Toastmasters with a football twist. Back to you, host.
Thank you, Miss Caroline. I mean, I really enjoyed that. I haven't ever thought about comparing Toastmasters and football. But of course, we can compare Toastmasters to just about any position, any job, any organization. We could almost look at it out of our Toastmasters eyes. Therefore, our next person that I would like to call upon is our evaluator. And I believe our evaluator is Robert Ortiz.
Yes, it is. Good. Thank you, Madam Host, Madam Toastmaster, and Carolyn. Wow, what a twist. It's, that football analogy is quite different. I like the way you summed it up by quarters and what actually happens, the roles, describing of the roles in a typical Toastmaster agenda. And then the scoring, the scoring, the way you broke down the scoring was I thought I enjoyed that a great deal, because there's a lot of scoring, especially if you have a lot of speakers. If you only have one or two speakers, then obviously then you're only going to get maybe it's going to be a low scoring game. But the second half, just like Tom Brady used to do, the second half was the killer half, and that's when table topics kicked in. When table topics kicked in, everybody was contributing, and for some reason we always had a high scoring game the second half of the game. Well done, well done. With respect to the speech and the presentation, I loved your presentation. Your camera was right in the middle. Your vocal variety was there. You were just clear as a bell. There was no doubt what you were trying to say. We did have a little bit of a connection issue. It got kind of spotty, but it did not detract from what you were trying to say. We still be able to get the gist of what we were trying to convey to us. In the beginning of the speech, though, there was a slight little distraction, not too bad. It got a lot better once you had that mindset of what you wanted to talk about. Not that you didn't know what you wanted to talk about, but your eye contact was off a little bit in the beginning because I believe you were trying to gather your thoughts more than anything about how you were going to lay this out. But once you got it laid out, once you were on that roll, those positions of running backs, wide receivers, and even the not so popular fullbacks and tight ends, they deserve recognition too, that's for sure. Matter of fact, some of the greatest tight ends, like Kellen Winslow, as an example, and then the one that made Tom Brady famous, I forgot his name, but they're all of these are Hall of Famers. So don't forget those little guys. Fullbacks, comes to mind is what was his name? He played for the Washington Redskins. Riggins was his last name, and then Larry Zonka. Those are some famous fullbacks. So they may not be scoring a lot, but boy, do they punish people. And I'll tell you what, your speech was definitely not punishing, but just like that fullback going through the line, you got that message out there for us, and we're able to understand. All in all, I thought the way you explained it was magnificent. As I indicated, your presentation overall was fantastic. The lighting, everything was great. To be honest, every time you ever give a speech, I'm always intrigued because it just comes out so naturally. So naturally, even if it's impromptu, it just comes out naturally. Like, sometimes people have to practice. Well, you may have to practice, but it doesn't come out like practicing. That's for darn sure. But anyway, I enjoyed your speech. I always, and all your speeches are always fantastic, and you're easy to listen to, and you make it interesting. Thank you for your speech this evening, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
And now,
Well, I sat there and I listened to her speech, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what if I'm the guy running down the field? Now, imagine it, right? So I'm old, right? I mean, I got these big jaws, I got that double chin. I'm running down the field, and the boobies will start bouncing. I mean, come on. But overall, though, I thought the speech was excellent. I'm glad that you did the parallels and stuff like that. But man, I'll tell you, when you started doing that, and I'm having these pictures in my head about me running down that field, I almost had a heart attack from not being able to breathe and keeping up with you. I thought that was a great analogy that you did. I thought it was a wonderful job, and I really enjoyed it. So I don't know if anyone else pictured themselves running down the field, but I was just sitting there thinking about each one of the positions. Am I going to be the quarterback? Am I going to be out there giving the speech and shooting for that touchdown, or am I going to be that running back trying to take the ball and run through the lines? Or man, I don't know. But whatever position it is, I hope it's as much fun as I had tonight.
Thank you.
You know, what is interesting is the whole time when she was giving the analogy, I was envisioning football and your description of the roles. I mean, the participants. And I was just visualizing these in the football context that you presented. It was it was, I mean, obviously it was serious with respect to the roles, but it was real fun to listen to. It was real fun to listen to.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I really liked the way that she explained them, because every one of them, you could sit there and picture a play, right? You got the speakers that are out there. So you got these quarterbacks that are out there getting ready to throw that touchdown. And if you have an excellent speech, you got all the vocal variety and all this kind of stuff out there. At the end, you're going to hear these big cheers because they went from the 10-yard line all the way in on one shot. I mean, I could just picture that in my head. And then we talked about the table topic section. And in my head, for the table topic section, you have each person coming up. So each person is playing a quarterback. So they're just running a play. It's not one of these big Hail Marys where you go all the way downfield, but it's a first down each time that you get a table topic, it's another first down. And then you had the evaluator come in and talk about everything that was going on, right? So I'm picturing the announcer doing all this kind of good stuff and everything. I just thought it was great. I thought it was a great job.
Thank you. And you can just see, I mean, I can picture like the words, when you say R, the guy's running up saying, catching the R so that the other guy won't get it. So that's just the picture that I had in my head when I was giving this speech.
Yeah, I can see him catching that. Oh, right. I mean, there he goes. You got that interception. He's running down the other end of the field now.
And that's one thing nice about Toastmasters is, when we catch the ahs and the ums and things like that, it's like you're running with the ball and you're bobbling it a little bit, but you still hold on to the ball and you still control it to get over that finish line or the goal line.
Or fumble. Or make a big fumble.
I think that only happens more or less at icebreakers. What do you think?
Oh, no. People fumble all the time. I
Yeah,
saw
they
people,
fumble.
I've seen people get out there at table topics. They start talking, and in order for them to get back on track, bring themselves back on track, right?
Yes.
Their tongues suddenly got too big for their lips.
Well, as I stated, we have talked about football in comparison to Toastmasters and Toastmasters in comparison to football. I mean, Carolyn, how often and how much football do you really watch?
Oh, I watch a lot of football, Flora, all day on Sunday. Start at 10 o'clock all the way until probably 7 o'clock at night. Sunday, I have to tell my granddaughter, Sunday is football. This is what we do, start in September all the way to February. Sunday,
Flora,
football.
she doesn't tell you her secret because she doesn't want you to realize that she does it Sunday and Monday. See, on Sunday, she can only watch one game at a time. So she records the other ones and watches those on Monday.
So you don't have to divulge any secrets here, because we know that you travel from Texas to California, right?
Right.
So do you have any leanings, if you will, for one teams versus the other?
Well, the Texas is my team because that's the team that I root for in Texas. And I normally follow my team. So I have watch them play in different cities. My daughter, we may be going to New York to watch the Texans play the Jets at MetLife.
Wow.
What
Well,
about college? I'm sorry, Flora.
go ahead.
No, what about college? Do you follow college at all?
I do follow college. I follow the University of Houston because that's where my nephew went to school and my sister. So I follow the University of Houston. I follow Texas, University of Texas also because I have some family members that went to University of Texas. So I follow some college, and then I like to follow the big name college football like USC, Alabama, Florida. I follow those too.
Well, here we have our football fan. Not only is she a Toastmaster area director and quite active in all of her clubs, Carolyn Moore has shared with us football in Toastmasters. I would like to end this broadcast, this podcast at this time, and turn it back over to our joint evaluator.
Thank you. Great energy. I love this podcast venue. It gives us a chance not only to listen to some great presentations, great conversation, but it brings out the natural speaking that in this environment. It just where we can actually speak in public, but it's in a natural way. And believe it or not, I don't know if you caught this, maybe it's just me, but the ahs and the ums and the so's seem to be substantially less when we're just having a conversation. What are your thoughts, Jim?
I kind of agree with that. A lot of times I still find myself doing so. But I do agree that they are a lot less because when you're doing a natural flow, you're not thinking. And the ahs and ums are filling blank spaces when your thought processes are being interrupted or misguided or not where they should be, right? So I have to agree. Yeah. I think that they become less as you speak naturally. And I think that's also one of the things that Toastmasters is trying to get across. And so when we're here talking, like on this podcast, we're talking freely. We're communicating and conversating. We're not talking at somebody. We're talking with the audience. And that makes a whole different experience between the speaker and the audience. So I think it's a great way to do it. I really like this podcast venue.
But those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts, Flora. It's just this venue just makes things more natural and where you can actually express yourself. And the variety is more natural as well. There's a lot of positivity in every aspect in speaking. And we are public speaking. And that's what I love about this. Although it would be better in person, but in today's environment, the podcast seems to be the way that everyone's going, the broadcasting. That's my evaluation of the podcast and of this meeting. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have.
I agree with you, Robert. And I will now give the meeting over to our presiding officer, which is Miss Carolyn Moore. Oh, one thing I forgot. What was the timing of Carolyn's speech, Jim?
It was 6 minutes and 58 seconds.
Okay, thank you. I will now turn it over to our presiding officer, Carolyn Moore.
Thank you, Flora. You can start recording, Jim.